What if I told you there's a crypto Cinderella story like no other? A rags to riches tale where our protagonist, Sam Bankman-Fried, scales the dizzying heights of success, only to be thrown back down to reality. How did this wild ride happen? Welcome back to Corporate Catalysts, where we look at fascinating stories of the world's most recognizable businesses and the people behind them. Today, we've got a jaw-dropping story that's simpler than it seems. Imagine a person who goes from nobody to a crypto superstar, only to see it all crumble. So, who is this Sam Bankman-Fried, and what happened to him? Let's dive right in. Samuel Benjamin Bankman-Fried was born on March 6, 1992, right at Stanford University. His mom and dad, Barbara Fried and Joseph Bankman, are both professors at Stanford Law School, so you can say he comes from a family of smart folks. SBF also has a brother named Gabriel Bankman-Fried. Gabriel used to work on Wall Street, which is like the financial heart of New York City. But he didn't just do regular trading. He also worked with a non-profit group called Guarding Against Pandemics and their political action committee. This means that the Bankman-Fried family is quite academically and financially accomplished. But as we've seen, SBF's journey took some twists and turns that led to a very different path. Now let's take a closer look at SBF's journey through school and how he got into the world of cryptocurrency and philanthropy. SBF went to a place called the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. It's a big deal because it's one of the best schools. He got a degree in physics in 2014. While he was at MIT, he got interested in something called effective altruism. It's like a fancy way of saying that you use your money to help others. And this idea made a lot of sense to him. He met some smart people who believed in using their smarts for good. This made him want to use his math skills for something more than just making money. After MIT, he worked at a company called Jane Street Capital, where he did something called quantitative trading, which involves using complex algorithms to trade on the stock market. But in 2017, he left that job and started using his math skills in a different way. He began trading a digital currency called Bitcoin. It was exciting because it could make a lot of money, and there weren't any strict regulations around it. That same year, he co-founded a company called Alameda Research, which used math and computer tricks to make money with digital assets like Bitcoin. Sometimes they made $1 million a day, which is a lot by any measure of the imagination. In 2019, SBF created another company called Futures Exchange Trading Limited, commonly known as FTX. This company was all about digital currencies. It had its own token called FTX token, FTT, and they gave discounts to people who used FTT to trade. He believed that by having an exchange, a broker, and a market maker all in one place, they could make things work really smoothly. By the time 2020 came around, approximately $15 billion of assets were traded daily on the platform, which at the time represented 10% of the global crypto trading volume. Given the success of FTX, SBF had made a lot of money and had started giving a great deal of it away. He supported big politicians like Joe Biden and donated to causes that he believed would help humanity in the long run. He gave money to projects that he believed could solve big problems like global health crises. But even though he was generous, he didn't always show off his wealth. He lived a fancy life in the Bahamas, but not everyone knew about it. He even talked to important people in the US government about how to regulate digital currency. He spoke before Congress about the importance of streamlining regulation on digital assets. In the 2021 brief, SBF mentioned that FTX embraces and would prefer to operate under one federal, unified regulatory regime. In any case, FTX views its official sector supervisors as stakeholders and partners with whom a consistent, active dialogue is necessary, and this viewpoint applies equally to the US Congress. We at FTX are always available and eager to share our insights into the digital asset industry and how it can continue to improve people's everyday lives. SBF is big on doing good things with his money and is a supporter of effective altruism, which means using your money to make the world a better place. It's all about earning to give. This means he earns a lot of money, not for himself, but to give it away to help others. He doesn't just give to anything, he gives to projects that have data to prove they really make a difference. He's worried about threats to humanity like nuclear war, pandemics, super smart computers, and threats to American democracy. He believes in giving to things that can help prevent these problems. Even when he was working at Jane Street, he gave away around half of his salary to charity. SBF even talked about helping the Bahamas pay off its $9 billion debt. So, SBF was all about making the world better with his money. Trouble was on the horizon, and this would change the future of SBF and FTX forever. The trouble began in November 2022, when FTX started to fall apart. This happened because of a big issue with the company's own token called FTT, which is a special coin just for FTX. Before everything went wrong, FTX was the third biggest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. It had more than 1 million people using it. Then, a big problem came up. An article by CoinDesk from the beginning of November claimed that Alameda Research, a company associated with FTX, had the bulk of its assets in FTT tokens. This caused a panic. People started selling their FTT tokens. CZ, who is the CEO of Binance, one of FTX's competitors, then tweeted that Binance intended to sell all their FTT too. Binance had received $529 million worth of FTT as part of a sale of its equity in FTX in 2021. This announcement led to the price of FTT declining even more. On November 8th, Binance indicated interest in buying FTX due to its liquidity crisis. But then they backed out of the deal on November 9th, citing reports of FTX's mishandling of customer funds and pending investigations of FTX. On November 11th, 2022, FTX, Alameda Research, and more than 130 associated legal entities filed for bankruptcy. This was a really big deal in the world of cryptocurrencies, and the collapse was compared to other big financial scandals, like the Enron and Madoff scandals. On December 12th, 2022, SBF had a pretty dramatic moment. He got arrested in his apartment in the Bahamas around 6 p.m. The police there took him into custody, and it's expected that he'll be sent to the United States for a trial. The same day, in the Southern District of New York, he was charged with wire fraud and money laundering. If found guilty of all these charges, he could go to prison for up to 115 years. After spending 10 days in a prison in Nassau, the Bahamas, SBF agreed to be sent to the United States to face the charges, but he had to pay a huge amount of money as a bond, $250 million, which is the most ever for someone in a criminal case. He was allowed to stay at his parents' home in California, was not allowed to speak to any FTX employees without a lawyer present. Later on, charges of illegal political donations and sending up to $40 million in cryptocurrency to Chinese government officials were added to the list. On July 26, 2023, the judge had to decide if SBF could remain free before his trial. Prosecutors were concerned that he might have tried to influence potential witnesses after Bankman-Fried gave a reporter personal writings of Caroline Ellison, the former chief executive of his crypto hedge fund, Alameda Research. But on the same day, they dropped one of the charges related to campaign financing because of treaty obligations with the Bahamas created by SBF's extradition. Then, on August 11th, things took a turn. The judge decided that SBF should remain in custody because of witness tampering. On August 22nd, SBF's lawyer said he wasn't getting the right food and that he needed his medicine for ADHD and depression. It was a tricky situation. On October 3rd, 2023, the trial started. Prosecutors alleged that SBF committed massive fraud and took billions of dollars from victims while lying to everyone. The defense said that SBF was just a math nerd who thought what he was doing was okay. As the trial went on, more people came forward with information claiming that SBF was saying things were fine at FTX, when in reality they were facing an $8 billion shortfall in customer assets. And then the person who was supposed to be the most important witness, Caroline Ellison, who used to be the CEO of Alameda Research, said that SBF was the leader of a $10 billion fraud scheme, and he persuaded her to commit crimes under his direction. Another key witness from FTX, Nishad Singh, who was the former director of engineering, testified that SBF was spending a lot of money on personal ventures, from real estate to campaign donations, and he thought it wasn't right. All in all, the stakes are really high for SBF. If he's found guilty on all these charges, he could end up spending up to 110 years in prison, even though it's unlikely he'll get the maximum sentence. The judge in charge of his case, Lewis Kaplan, has made it clear that he's ready to give him a long sentence if convicted. Judge Kaplan is taking things very seriously. He's worried that if SBF is found guilty, he might flee the country in an effort to escape going to jail. And SBF's future is hanging in the balance while he awaits the outcome of his trial. And there you have it, the incredible saga of Sam Bankman-Fried, a story that leaves us with more questions than answers. Was it all worth it? What does the future hold for Sam and FTX? Only time will tell. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Corporate Catalyst for more riveting tales from the world of finance, technology, and beyond. We'll see you on our next episode.